This final war video of the season. I'm sorry I'm so dreadfully late. I just got lazy, to be honest. I am not a particularly interesting war video, and I dilly-dallied at least a week before uploading it, but here we are. This is, like I said, it's the final war. We're not sure if we're locked into Masters. We think it's quite likely. The stars would have to align, as it were, for us not to get Masters at this point. So we're also taking it seriously, and you'll see here that I'm on path 4 in section 1. This is a path which usually isn't considered too bad, but it has some pesky elements to it, I guess. Mostly in the second fight. Here we just have a Dragon Man, and ideally I'd have Human Torch for this, but I'm using Spidey later, so I'm using him here. The only thing to really note here is that I used a heavy there because my parry didn't work. The only thing to note here is that he's going to have quite a lot of Furies, both from me having a debuff on me, and when I come to have 3 debuffs on me, as I shall during this fight, he'll gain a passive Fury as well. So the rule of this fight is don't get hit and you'll be fine, because you can just play this fight completely normally. You'll see there that the power gain isn't going to be an issue because we've got Wither and the exhaustions as well, and of course it's Dragon Man, so you can just parry him and make that go away. And you'll see here he has both the Fury buff and the passive Fury, but again, as long as you don't get hit, you'll be fine. So it's just a case of being nice and controlled, baiting out his SP1 whenever he has it, and using SP2 for max damage here. So this fight presumably doesn't have all that much longer left. SP2, oh, not quite, but yeah. Of course, he's losing power here because of the Wither, so it's just a case of waiting for a parry and finishing. So nice and easy. Now the next fight, this node, people often forget about one of the nodes here, and that's the last one on the list. I forget what it's called. There we go. So it's Injury to Insult 2, where each debuff that's on the attacker reduces your defensive ability accuracy by 15%. Now, what this means is that parries can fail. It's not necessarily that likely, but it can happen. And I think, as you'll see here, no, that one's fine. But my next parry, I think, yeah, my next parry fails because I have 1 or 2 debuffs on me. So these debuffs can stack pretty quickly. So just got to be remember that. I kind of went into this fight expecting all my parries to fail. There I go for the heavy charge into SP2, completely screw it up. Luckily he doesn't punish me. But well, even if he tried, I think the spacing is fine after the SP2. To be honest, you don't need the big SP2 because you're doing so much damage. With all those armor breaks, doesn't really matter. So I think back another SP2 and the fight's more or less over. I've got my cosmic boost, so nice and easy. Killmonger, no problem for CGR. CGR's been a bit of a this season. He's come along quite a few times, but he's only ever done like 1 or 2 fights. It'd be nice for him to do more. So that's that done. We rejoin the action here on the run up to the boss, although I'm not taking the boss this time, thank goodness. But I am taking the Mangog Mini on the left, as has become customary. And I'm just I've got some Nick Fury fights, which is I think a first for the season. So that's exciting. And I get to use Advanced Power Boost 1 here rather than an Invulnerability boost, because this is the strike counter lane. And you'll see here I employed 2 different strategies in these 2 fights. The first one against Mr. Negative, I play the strike counter really quite precisely. So my objective here is to push him to SP2 and play the strike counter, basically. All the debuffs that I'm going to get on me, I'm Nick Fury, so I can shed them with specials and stuff. Here I use the SP1 boost just so that I can throw it pretty quickly. I let him get 1 charge of block penetration, but it doesn't really matter. Used it again, just to keep the strike counter down, bait out the SP2. I prefer his SP2 because you can fully evade it quite easily. You just got to remember that the final hit is a projectile hit, but it's an instantaneous projectile hit, so it's easy to evade because you can just dash back when he slams this thing down, as such. So there I know that I can just hit him a few more times again, throw another SP1 and play over. Mr. Negative, not a problem for Fury. Now the next fight is a bit more problematic because it's a MODOK, and the reason they've placed MODOK here is because he MODOK's always a pain when he's stun immune, and this node isn't stun immune, but it's the closest thing this map has because the under pressure node, where you dash back, you get the disorient debuff on you, means your parries aren't gonna stick. So they want that to be an issue. And here, I don't play the strike. Well, I play the strike counter. I barely play the strike counter. I throw a heavy there, not for strike counter as such, but rather to clear his, auto block charge. Because this is my last Nick Fury fight. I've got the second life. I know that I can take some hits to my block if necessary. So my main objective here is getting MODOK down as quickly as possible, which means clearing his auto block charge whenever I see it, expecting all my parries to fail whenever I haven't dashed back twice, and getting my light attacks for the big bleed as often as possible. There I threw the heavy because I knew his auto charge was about to come back. I did the same thing here because it came back and then instantly vanished because my heavy got rid of it. There I messed up the timing so I couldn't punish his SP1, but we're making good progress here. You'll see he has 10 block penetration charges, 13 now, so there again he auto blocks me, so this doesn't do damage, but he's almost dead. I know that it's going to be very hard for me to lose the fight at this point. Although I think there's a unique interaction between these two, where if you enter your second life while he's throwing the SP1, I'm pretty sure it can reverse it and you instantly die. So I guess that could have happened, but yeah, it didn't. Here I'm just fast forwarding as I heal up and apply the right boosts. This is MCOC. We've seen this fight a few times in this season, in these videos. Here we have the two Mr. Petrified debuffs, but we don't have the anti-venom pre-fight synergy, so this means our strategy is parry heavy and dash back. Parry heavy to refresh the Mr. Fantastic debuffs, and dash back to pause my own debuffs. Parry heavy and dash back, etc. There he didn't gain the unstoppable, which is good. There I'm at SP2 again, so I can throw it and then get the wither. Dash back to pause my debuffs, and now I need to. Oh, see there, I parry him just as he goes stun immune, which luckily went fine. He could have punished me, but he didn't. I need to throw a heavy to refresh the Mr. Fantastic debuffs, and I do just in time. But I have pushed him to another bar of power, so he throws a second SP1 of the fight, which I'm not thrilled about. My objective here is that he throws no bars of power. I only managed that once. Sorry, he throws no specials. And here we're at maximum power control situation. We've got 5 exhaustions, a wither, and the Mr. Fantastic Petrify. But he gains power rate from the node, and I think from Aspect of Evolution, so you'll see that his power is sort of stable at this point. He's not losing any, but he's also not gaining any, and that's fine. On the second wither, you'll see it now starts to reverse, which is fine. So I'm still doing the strategy, alternate between dash back to pause the debuffs, and parry heavy to refresh the Mr. Fantastic debuffs. Dash back to pause my own, etc, etc. Now you'll see his power's well and truly going down. Fight's under control. I'd have to put down the phone to lose it, really. And we throw in another SP2 and finish it. And that's the end of my season, because luckily I'm not on boss duty anymore. I think I took something silly like 9 bosses. No, can't have been 9. I took loads of bosses this season. So yeah, overall it was a good season. I went 70-2 in the end. I had those 2 deaths in the middle, which are pretty annoying. Of course, the Red Skull boss and the that long shot did dear me. But overall, not too bad. I took, I think, 3rd most fights, and I think I died the least in battle group. So I very much did my part. And we managed to finish in Masters, which is great. I think we were the bottom half, something like 16th, 17th, 18th, which is fine. We weren't able to repeat our performance from last season, but again, doesn't matter. That's fine. So, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I've enjoyed making these war videos, and I may well continue next season as well. I'm in a new battle group next season, so I'll doubtless be given different fights and stuff like that, so that's all good. So, yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta.